Well. Looks like the bears are out the cave. You can sound the alarm. It's a red day, that's for sure. We're going to go ahead and take a look. And man, can we stop coming down? We'll see what happens. Let's dive into it. Welcome to At the Close. Are you guys ready to talk about the destruction out there right now? The question is, will this keep coming down? We'll talk about it.
All right, it is time for pre-market prep at the close.
Three consecutive highs, opened, matched yesterday's low, and then once it took out there, that's all the breakout momentum traders needed.
Well, the destruction is here, and I don't have Joel to talk about it, but I will go ahead and dive on in for it and take a look at the downtrend that we've had in the SPY. Just keeps coming down. Hasn't really turned around since, of course, the comments from Jerome Powell. And it was kind of interesting when we actually got that. We got a first down dip, eventually making a spike back to the high, catching probably some of the bulls, and then just wiping out through those lows. It was a crazy move there. I don't know if you guys were able to catch it as it was actually hitting, but hey, it's how it is. Now let's talk about what got hit the hardest, right? Well, technology got hit the hardest. It led yesterday, and it also led the way down here. It's the stocks that have been the most volatile, is really seeing these tech stocks come off their lows. And you can see it from here. I mean, this is a 5-minute outlook, but this was the run yesterday. It was a nice little run, but it wasn't anything like this. This is a downturn now. We're down about 3.52% from that high point where we kind of spiked up. We were looking like we were going to get on up there, and all of a sudden, bang, right back down there in some of these technology names, and definitely getting hit. And what got hit? Well, I can at least say today that logic is back. Logic is back for me in the markets. And the reason why I can say that is because NVIDIA cutting through yesterday's low. And this was something that I was going to look out for. We could take a look at the multi-charts or whatever you want to kind of take a look at, but I usually just get bigger here, and you can see how we took out yesterday's low, and we're way below it now. That was around 168. We're down to 164, and it just seems to be like, okay, yesterday was definitely a bull trap. That was as bull trap as it gets. It was ripping, rallying towards the close, and out of nowhere, boom, just like that, in a 8-minute speech, the markets just get destroyed. Well, to me, that shows me that there was probably definitely some extreme kind of optimism that was on that move yesterday. And a lot of people got hit hard here on the downside. At least for me, no more scratching my head in NVIDIA. I'm like, okay, it seems to make a little bit more sense. Does it mean that we're going to take out the lows in NVIDIA? No, it doesn't 100% mean that we're just, crashing on it. But this made sense to me. At least come down a little bit further, especially with the way that we saw those earnings looking forward. Now, what happened today, of course, right? I mean, a lot of people want to know. Maybe some people didn't catch the exact comments that might have brought down the market. No one's for certain, but I do want to state some of these quotes that were stated, right? So let's start off with this. Well, markets were dropping off of it, and I think that there's a specific quote that I thought was really something to pay attention to, but I'll allude it after I get through some of the comments here. So, of course, Jerome Powell stated here that the Fed would use its tools forcefully to attack inflation that's still running near its highest level in more than 40 years. Powell said that there's no place to stop or pause, even though the benchmark rates are probably around an area of consideration that are neither stimulative nor restrictive to growth. And so there's two sides that they could be on. They feel like they're in the middle right now. Now, while higher interest rates, slower growth, and a softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring pain to households and businesses. He said in prepared remarks that these are unfortunate costs of reducing inflation, but at failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain. At the same time, other areas of the economy are slowing, he stated. Housing in particular is falling off rapidly. Economists expect that a huge surge in hiring that has been over the past year and a half is likely to cool. We're moving on our policy stance purposely to a level that will be sufficiently enough restrictive to return inflation to 2%. He said that in the future, the central bank leader added that restoring price stability would likely require maintaining a restrictive policy stance for some time. And so I think comments like this, when he clearly stated that right now they felt that they were in the middle, that they weren't really restrictive, and then making comments like restoring price stability would more likely require maintaining a restrictive policy. And then for some time, those are the types of comments that I think that really started changing things up. Everyone expected him to talk about fighting inflation back down. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying more along is that they felt that they were in the middle and now are going to go and cross the line into restrictive. So if you thought that they weren't if they were getting towards the end of that hike rate, well, that's nowhere near where he's saying they're in. So some people thought that the Fed were kind of more in the 7th inning going towards the 9th. And what he kind of put it at, it's more like in the middle. This is the 4th and 5th inning. We're just moving through this, and there's still a lot of inflation to fight down. So it doesn't mean that, I have it right or anybody has it right. I'm not trying to be so much of a bear here. Every time I get to these points, I even feel uncomfortable being bearish because it just feels like, I don't want things to go down. I see the headwinds and I see everything that's out there, and it doesn't point just straight to the upside on a V bottom. I know that a lot of people were starting to call June's lows are in. The analysts started all flipping, even the ones that were bearish and were probably saying a couple months ago that we would break through the lows. We're starting to say, no, the lows are in now. The lows are in. We're going to be okay. Maybe we get a little drop. Well, things like this in a day like we have today will really start flipping them right back. All right, I'll catch up some comments that you guys put in the chat. You guys let me know what you guys think. It's healthy to go down, says Bryce Young. I do agree. Bryce says the 2nd inning. What do you guys think we're in? What kind of inning you guys are in? I know this is kind of more of a baseball terminology. It doesn't really mean much, but let me know. What do you guys feel? What inning are we in? The Fed wants the middle. I don't think the Fed wants the middle. I think the Fed likes to play extreme, Bean. If you take a look at the history, right? I mean, let's just look at what we've gone through recently. In the pandemic, I think they went to extremely supportive. They were literally pumping the money into it. Now I feel like they're trying to get to the opposite end of the spectrum, complete opposite end. And I feel like they just, they feel like they're just passing that middle and getting towards that extreme. They still got some time to go here. And so I still think that the 75 basis points is up to the September meeting. Unless something drastically changes in the CPI, I think they'll do a 3rd consecutive 0.75 of a point hike rate, which is extreme. I don't think that's ever happened. It's something that I need to look into the statistics, but it's something that I will keep watching. We'll see what else is out there. What else are you guys? We're in the 6th inning. Rain delay. I like it. We're in overtime. Well, not overtime yet. We'll see what happens out there. All right, let's keep going. Now, I did see some Ford news out there today. Ford talking about how they're raising their price of the Mustang Mach-E. And this is due to, of course, battery cost concerns. And so Ford joining other automakers like General Motors, Rivian, Lucid, Tesla, all raising the price. Of course, what does this show me more is I'm not focused on the Mach-E. I mean, the Mach-E is interesting, but not anything that I'd be buying anyways. What this shows me more is supply chain concerns, right? That's what everyone's kind of talking about. Will the supply chains come back down to the regular, right? Will it kind of ease? Will the automakers be able to really get these vehicles made at a cheaper price than having to increase the prices because of the expenses that they're seeing in the battery costs and things like this. This is the important stuff to catch. This stuff shows me that there's still a little bit of supply chain concerns if they're hiking the price because of course, battery costs. So what does that show us? Lithium price starting to go up. Materials prices are starting to go up. And what have we been seeing lately? We've been seeing the metals and the materials start going on up. So keep this on your radar. And this is certain stocks that I definitely think you need to keep on watch. All right, let's keep going. I appreciated the like. Thank you, Cody, for keeping on going. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at some of the stocks that got hit the hardest. Of course, let's go to Kathy. Let's see how the growth did. Dennis. I'm going to have to talk to you on Monday. We might get through that 40 ARKK low. The low on ARKK might not be in. I don't know what you guys think. Put a 1 if you guys think the ARKK low is in. Put a 2 if you think we might take out those lows. All right, let's go into it. Let me take a look here. Looks like we're cutting through the 43 level. Next stop, we've talked about that 40 level. This is where, Dennis started really calling the low around that 40. We'll see what happens here. Will it come back down even close towards the 36 and 35? I don't know. It's all going to be dependent on what's in it, right? Well, NVIDIA really getting hit hard, not helping it out there. Tesla getting hit hard, coming back down to the 290s. It needs to hold on. It might break through that Thursday low when we got the split, 288.09. We'll see what happens. Square down 7%. Man, some of these are down big. Some of these biotechs, 13% for PACB, diagnostics and research stock. Fate down 10%. Beam down 9%. Unity down 9%. This one did not hold on to the 50% retracement. Started breaking to it, going to the 61.8. We'll see if it gets back there towards the 30. This is one that's on my radar, and we'll see what happens. All right, there's some numbers coming on in there. I see a couple. I see a 2. Let me know what you guys think. They're the numbers. I see them. 2s. All right, so you guys feel like we might break through those lows. David feels the low is in. At least there's one vote for Kathy. We'll see what happens. Going back to the 35 you guys are seeing on Kathy, ARKK, ARK Invest. We'll see if it can get back down there towards the 35s. A lot of this is going to be dependent on what's in here. I mean, look at Roku. Roku's just been atrocious, man. Since this 100, since this kind of symmetrical triangle that broke down, this little push back up was such a gift there. I know that the Bears are probably just licking their chops here in Roku as it's coming down. And Zoom with the dip buy that she did, it doesn't look good. It looks like it's about to take out that 81.13 low. If it takes out that low, where will Zoom stop? It's just not a stock that I would be in right now, but hey, to each his own, right? We'll see what happens. All right, there you guys. We got about 15 minutes here. I'll go ahead and I'll start taking stocks from you guys. Just throw up some stocks, right? I can definitely take a look at some other earning stocks, or we can take a look at maybe how I know that Snow was kind of holding on up. Did this kind of hold? This is the stock that was impressive today. Even while all the other software names were really getting dumped on, look at Snow holding up. Relative strength there. Not looking too bad. Short opportunity in Snow, Sebastian? Well, it's a little bit hard. This is actually holding on up pretty well. So it tells me that the bulls have not let go and that there is probably some more money in here. Now, do you have a down gap to kind of attack if you're a short? Yeah, I mean, you have this gap down below. But look how it held today. And if it's holding like that, you got to be careful. Of course, I would watch like kind of Thursday's low, which is that 184.12 for that downside move. But it could make this upside move. It's actually holding pretty well. I know I'm kind of short on a lot of software, and I don't like, let's say, like Roblox. And I was looking at even Snow earlier in the week for a short, and it didn't look bad as it was coming into it. But look at that pop. That pop right there, and holding today on a really weak tape in the overall market and in the Qs just shows me maybe we don't want to fight Snow too much. All right, let's keep going. Apple being brought up in the chat. Let's go. Jesus. Let's go. All right, Apple just coming straight down. The trend right here is just atrocious. And it did try to do that spike. That's why you got to be careful, guys, and always have your out levels, right? This looked really bullish. Like, I don't know about you guys, but in my eyes, if I see this chart and just purely on technicals, and this is why, you'll hear some people remind you that, technicals aren't everything, but this looked like a nice little bullish engulfing candle, a nice little pullback. It's pushing on up. Is it going to go up? And then the next candle comes on up. You're looking like you're going to get that push towards the high of the day. And it just rejects that high of the day right there. It even got up there. Let's see the wick. The wick gets up there to 170.105. And then the washout came. Boom, right back down. This is why if you were long during that candle, you got to respect your out and understand that, all right, so maybe it's 169 or maybe it's even 168.50, but I would have got out, because if you don't, boom, the leak can come, and the leak could probably not even come back to the VWAP. There's not many times that you're going to see a stock just start leaking, and they don't even bounce to the VWAP. That just shows us right there the volume weighted average price. This is this orange line that you see here. If it doesn't come back, that's an extremely weak tape. Buyers are not coming back, and they're just bidding out. A lot of times you'll see at least a move back to VWAP and then a float right back down. But this just showed us that there was no buying going on. All right, we'll see what happens on this. This is a deep pullback, and it's okay, because really, Apple made a huge move up, right? So what do we watch? We look for these moving averages to find some support. I'll kind of be looking at a level next week for around 157, 160 to find some support for Apple. But until then, I think this could pull back at least to the 200-day moving average. 200-day on the daily is at 160.87. We'll see what happened there. Let's keep going. Let's take a look at some other stocks out there. ENVX. I don't know this one. I will take a look, but kind of wondering what kind of stock this is. It looks like it's an electronic component stock. Haven't traded this before, but I have taken a look. It looks like I created some lines on June 3rd. All right, so what were we doing on June 3rd? Okay, we were down here. We were right around these levels, and we started getting back above it. We tick down and then really start catching the bid. One thing is for certain is that this does have the 200-day and all three moving averages below it, so it is in a bullish trend. Now let's see if it can really start getting on back. I'd look at it like maybe a 4-hour chart. Just doesn't have much pattern to it in my eyes. It really needs to get back towards around 27. If it can get to 27, it's going to be looking really good. But for right now, I would look for a pattern sometime next week. Really want to hold at least the support down where you kind of created this low and you had a kind of a little wick. If not, you can get a shadow fill into this area. You don't want to get back into that area. You're looking for it to hold here, get back on up. Definitely fighting also some resistance right up here. You can see multiple wicks that tried to get through the levels here. That's 26.11 and 26.17 ENVX. All right, going to go ahead and keep it going. Mitch, can you play that chorus? 17 going under? Oh, man. Let's take a look here. ChargePoint getting some calls. Let's take a look. ChargePoint was one of the strongest ones on the week. Now pulling on back. This is one that I actually look for. If it can get back up above the 200-day, maybe sometime next week, look at this stock. It's not a bad one. It's one I've actually owned before. You guys can see it here when I actually was owning it and I was trying to ride it on up. Eventually sold out of this name before it came back down on me. But man, this is one of those names that I have been looking for a big run in ChargePoint. Eventually, I think we might get that. But just take a look also on the weekly. We did reverse out of the weekly trend. Now it could pull back though. It could pull back here. Could get on back here even towards 1288. We needed to get back up there through 20s. Eventually, this stock will do a rip, but I also will be patient. All right, let's keep going. I see Triple M in the chat. Let's take a look there. 3M definitely looking bad here as it's just coming on down and breaking through levels. I had a level here drawn here from all the way in April 3rd, 2020. And so we're going back into 2020 numbers. Not something that you want to be seeing in 3M. And you could cut through that pandemic low. Not a company that I would probably be a part of. And it just doesn't seem like it's just ever catching the bounce. It caught the bounce for a little bit. Now has all the moving averages above. Looks pretty bearish. Now you just need to kind of keep a watch on it. And it rejected the cross back over here. That's showing you a little bit like it tried to get back to where the kind of the 65 EMA here, or you could think of like a 50 was trying to cross back to give you the bullish look. And it gave you another extension away from the 200, showing that it wants to keep pressuring to the downside. INTC. All right. Intel, the dogs of all dogs. At least that's the way I feel about Intel. And this is one that the trend is your friend until it isn't. You'll hear that often. And so clearly example is here. This stock was starting to trend back, and somewhere around here, it just cracked. And we'll go to the weekly so that we can see this a little bit better. And you can see it right around here, right in the early months of the year, January, February, and March, April. It just got this little spike. It tried to come back through 52. And ever since then, downtrend. And so until it breaks that line, it's still on a downtrend on the downside. Another thing that gives you that is the EMA 9. Look how the EMA 9 is just slowly following the price, and it's above the price, showing that bearish trend that it wants to keep coming down here. I think this eventually cracks and keeps coming down and could eventually get back down towards prices where if you invested in Intel in 2012, 2013, we could see it back down there. So who knows? I mean, the dogs of all dogs, at least in that Intel lately. All right, let's keep going. 3M's HD had some bad news. Thank you for mentioning that, Caleb. I did not catch that, so it's how it is sometimes. Nice, Jay Rice. Lotto puts. What you printing on, Bill? Let me know, man. What you trading, Bill? I want to take a look. All right, we got about 7 minutes left here. I'll take a look at some other stocks. Intel has to be a buy one day. That kind of thinking is dangerous. Not saying that it isn't, but it's dangerous because it can get you to kind of keep holding the bag. And so you got to be careful with that. For me, I'm just an AMD fan from now on. I would still be looking at AMD for a pullback and not Intel. I'm just kind of at the point where Intel, they need so much innovation, I think, and it's not going to come easy. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look. Amazon puts, not a bad one. I did take a look at that down gap to see if we were going to start filling in here. We first drew this on the 19th, and so a couple of days, like a week ago, I was looking to see if Amazon was going to get into that down gap, and now you're starting to see it. It could fill that down gap, coming right back down here, at least towards the 122 area. So I'd be watching for that next week for Amazon to continue on the downturn. But if it can get back towards this 200 and really start closing up there through the 150, that's going to be where we could get a little bit of bullish for another run back up in Amazon. We'll see what happens. It's fighting here, but it looks like it wants to head right back towards the 120 area. Dangerous thinking in the world of semi. AMD was said to be dead only 8 years ago. Yep, it was said to be dead only 8 years ago. And one of the things that AMD, I saw a lot of people talking about AMD those 8 years ago, and they were starting to call out how AMD was starting to really get their performance right. And what caused this switch between AMD and Intel really was performance. And the AMD chips actually starting to do better than some of the Intel chips. And another thing to note was the performance on the Intel's chips wasn't really surpassing the one prior. It was getting better, but not like a giant leap forward. The AMD chips were just making these big step ups, big step up, big step up, big step up. And I have an Intel chip in my computer right now. And this was a time where I was even battling myself and thinking, and this was like around 2018, 2019, where I was considering it. Should I go AMD? Should I go Intel? Will Intel stay up? I went Intel, but I'll tell you right now, I probably would have gone AMD. And if I made a computer nowadays, I'd go AMD. All right, we'll see what else is on out there. If you work construction, you know 3M is the best. Yes, it is the best, but will it keep growing? I just don't think so. And like always, you got to know that like you have to have some kind of sexiness, some kind of growth or massive profitability. And in a time like this, probably would just keep coming on down. We'll see. Eventually, it probably turns around. I mean, it's a real company, 3M, right? It's not going away anytime soon. But I just see downside turn. I had an AMD a couple of years ago, and I now have Intel. Both worked great for me, honestly. Yeah, they're going to work great. We're talking about very specific performance. All right, let's take a look at what else is out there. Do want to take a quick second before we get on out of here to show the destruction that is out there today. It is pretty bad. Let's take a look at the map here. We could take a look at one of them, and it's atrocious today, guys. Let's take a look here. I'll do a full screen here and share. Oh, it's telling me about my Lumineers. All right, I'll show you guys it here. Look at this destruction, guys, all in the red. Even the oil names couldn't catch the bounce. COP, Conoco, Phillips is probably like the only one I'm seeing here. Hess up a little bit, but really destruction. Electronic gaming, EA keeping up a little bit with those rumors that were out there, but the destruction really come in Google, Meta really getting hit hard. Apple down 3.5%. Microsoft, the leadership, taking the hard hits on the downside. And this is not what we were trying to see today, definitely. And I don't think people expected to see that hard of a downturn today. And so definitely shaking up the market. All right, let's see what other stocks you guys have mentioned. I'll probably just go ahead and wrap us on up here. I'm not seeing too many other stocks mentioned there. So we'll go ahead and start wrapping on up here. Like always, we're going to keep watching the markets next week to see what happens. Now, the only thing that we're going to kind of keep watch now is the next CPI reading. It's going to take a little bit. It's not just going to be next week, right? We're going to keep watch to see what happens. We're going to probably also see, does the SPY come down here by that meeting? What will happen by that meeting, right? Will we get back down towards the 400? That's kind of the 50% retracement level. Then from there, what will happen? That's what I'll be watching for next week. All right, that's going to do it for me. Like always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed today's interviews. We had a great one with Stephanie Link on Stock Market Movers. So if you didn't catch that, do me the favor. Go check that out. That's on Stock Market Movers, my 1 o'clock show. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the week. Joel Elconin will be back tomorrow, or we'll be back on Monday. So who knows? Maybe we get back into the green. Maybe we can get this stock market going back. Maybe Joel can bring us out of the dungeons. Hopefully that's what happens. I'll see you guys like always. Give me a thumbs on up. Hit the subscribe below. I'm going to enjoy the weekend. I'm not going to be too bearish. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to go see the Lumineers on the weekend and have a good time. I hope that you guys have a good time with your family. And like always, let's go back into it. Let's reassess. Let's always take risk assessment first. It's always about risk and capital preservation first. Then we worry about rewards. One thing that I thought Dennis mentioned this morning that was very smart to me, and it's just stuff that I look for, things that I think are important, is comments like he said, hey, well, I mean, I took a lot of these tech stocks and they made 30, 40% gains in like 2 to 3 weeks. I was thinking about them as investments, but when I thought about them in a long-term account, even 30, 40%, why am I not running to the register and bringing that up? Well, you heard him. He said he took a lot of those profits and said, well, 30 to 40% in 3 weeks. I was thinking about not taking it, but hey, in this kind of market, you got to take what you can get. And it seems like that's exactly what we got today. I'll see you next time, guys. Smash it on up. Take it easy. I'll see you guys. Take care. Much love.